Ukraine's coup-appointed interim Prime Minister Yatsenyuk comes to the U.S. Capitol for a public show of mutual affection.
This is showing public support by the most powerful country in the world to an unelected prime minister who seized power illegally, but they hope to gain legitimacy through this international arena.
The U.S. involvement in the Ukrainian crisis reaches far and wide, despite loud words about rooting for democracy and the Ukrainian people deciding their own future. Yatsenyuk's Open Ukraine Foundation has NATO and the Department of State as official partners. And he's a frequent visitor to the U.S., where his sister, reportedly a prominent Scientologist, resides on the West Coast. The politician was discussed in the infamous leaked Nuland phone conversations, where American politicians played out favorable scenarios for the West as if on a chessboard.
I think Yats is the guy who's got the economic experience, the governing experience. He's the guy, what he needs is Cleach and Tony Book on the outside. He needs to be talking to them 4 times a week.
This prime minister, we know, is the favored choice by Victoria Nuland representing the State Department because the rest of the Ukrainian government, the new government, is loaded with fascists and semi-fascists.
During the chaos unraveling in Kiev, NATO and U.S. officials paraded Maidan, distributing snacks to the protesters and meeting with Yatsenyuk to the fine tunes of Italian pop songs. Today, the U.S. has already gone in head first into putting Ukraine's finances in order.
We have already on the ground here in Ukraine experts from the FBI, the Department of Justice, and the Department of the Treasury who are working with their Ukrainian counterparts.
Then again, supporting questionable governments that favor its geopolitical strategy is nothing new for the U.S.
If you want me to say that the foreign policy of the U.S. is so consistent and it follows international law or certain principles that it doesn't deviate from, or there is no double standard in the behavior of the U.S., I won't be able to do that.
While in Washington, D.C., Arseniy Yatsenyuk is getting a warm welcome from Barack Obama, making appearances at the U.S. Congress and spending time with the heads of the IMF and the World Bank.
The new prime minister in the Ukraine is the IMF's man in Kiev, and that's how it should be viewed. That's been his track record for the last 10 years. He wants to do the bidding of the IMF, the World Bank, the German banks. In other words, he's a client or a proxy of these same forces that want to integrate Ukraine into the EU, not for the benefit of the Ukrainian people, but in order to make money.
Arguably dragging Ukraine right into the West's puppeteering under the U.S. guise of an honest attempt to help. Anastasia Churkina, RT, Washington, D.C.